So, we've talked a lot about what Jomon people made, but we haven't really talked about the Jomon people themselves. What were they all about? And do the characters you see inhabiting the world of Breath of the Wild resemble them in any way, shape, or form? And the answer is yes! You have to look sort of carefully, but if you do, you'll notice certain characters in the game are rather unique looking. Now, it's true the art design team at Nintendo probably made them that way just for fun. But you can draw a correlation between these unique physical features and the prehistoric Jomon people. For example, there's a sort of goofy traveling merchant in the Zelda series named Beetle. He's pretty distinct looking, and not just because of the giant traveling pack he has with him. If you look carefully, you'll notice a healthy dusting of freckles on his face. Why is that important? Well, it turns out that the Jomon people may have had freckles too. Recently, a team of Japanese researchers deciphered the genetic traits of a Jomon woman discovered in Hokkaido. They did this by collecting a DNA sample from one of her back molars, and to their surprise, they found the woman shared a gene variant with people who live in the Arctic. Not only that, but they found out she had a high tolerance for alcohol, the ability to digest extremely fatty foods, and most interesting of all, she had an elevated chance of having freckles. This is an amazing find, because freckles aren't a common feature in modern Japanese, which makes the Jomon people pretty distinct for the area. Speaking of distinct, there's another traveling NPC in Breath of the Wild who's also very unique looking. His name is Bakongo, and he's a traveling artist who can tell you all about significant landmarks in Hyrule. He's pretty cool, but what's really interesting about him is his design. You'll notice that on his left arm and shoulder, he has an elaborate red and blue floral tattoo. That's not a very common feature in a Zelda game, but it is a common feature in this game. Players will also notice that both the bashful girl in Kakariko Village Paya and the ancient Sheikah sage Impa sport facial tattoos. Now again, these markings are probably just a whimsical addition by the game's design team, but they wouldn't be out of place in the Jomon culture. According to a Chinese source from the 3rd century BCE known as the Gishiwa Jiden, the people of Japan, known to the Chinese as the people of Wa, tattooed their faces and painted their bodies. Here's a quote. The men of Wa tattoo their faces and paint their bodies with designs. They are fond of diving for fish and shells. Long ago, they decorated their bodies in order to protect themselves from large fish. Later, these designs became ornamental. Body painting differs among the various tribes, and the position and size of the designs vary according to the rank of the individual. They also smear their bodies with pink and scarlet, just as we Chinese use powder. That's pretty clear evidence the Jomon loved tattoos. And as I mentioned before, you can see elaborate patterns on the bodies and faces of Dogu statues, which might also signal tattooing. But there's one more potential piece of evidence for this Jomon practice. Until the modern era, the current indigenous people of Japan, the Ainu, also practiced tattooing, particularly Ainu women, who would get large lip tattoos that not only had spiritual and cultural significance, but may have also signaled their readiness for marriage. Now, the jury's still out on whether the Ainu are the direct descendants of the Jomon, but it is interesting to note that not only did they practice tattooing for thousands of years, their native style of dress features a lot of the intricate patterns and designs you see on ancient Jomon relics. By the way, you can see some of these indigenous-like patterns on certain clothing items in Breath of the Wild, and you'll notice that a lot of characters are wearing animal skins or clothes made of plant fibers, which the Jomon would also have worn. Now, to be fair, not everything featured in Breath of the Wild is tied to Jomon culture, like those iron weapons that always manage to attract lightning during a storm. Yeah, those didn't exist in the Jomon period, because the Jomon people were not yet familiar with iron. And the horses you can ride from one end of Hyrule to the other, well, it turns out horses were very rare in Jomon Japan and weren't really used. And the food you cook to heal or raise Link's stats in the game, well, ingredients like spicy peppers, sugar, and milk weren't around. But things like nuts, fish, mushrooms, salt, and wild game did exist in the Jomon era, so some of the food recipes in Breath of the Wild, like mushroom skewers and salt-grilled fish, were probably similar to those used by the Jomon people. But alas, the eye motif you find everywhere in Breath of the Wild has zero correlation to Jomon culture, which is a real bummer because that would have been kind of cool. clearly there are a lot of things in the game that didn't exist in the Jomon period. What's funny to me is there's one interesting thing that did exist in the Jomon period that doesn't exist in the game, and I kind of wish it did. Teeth ablation. Teeth ablation is the practice of removing perfectly healthy teeth from your mouth for ritual or cultural purposes, and it was practiced by the people of the late and final Jomon periods, who started deliberately removing their teeth somewhere around 1500 BCE. And when I say remove, I don't mean tie their tooth to a string or take pliers and yank them out. I mean their teeth were literally bashed in. Here's a quote from a study by anthropologists at the University of Nevada. For the Jomon, life milestones were commemorated by the extraction of different tooth classes. Usually incisors, canines, and premolars were chosen because they were all visible teeth. The removal of these teeth immediately marked your place in society. With a flash of a smile, one would know the individual's family, if they were an adult or not, if they were married, if they had experienced the death of a loved one, or if they had children. The practice of tooth removal was rather painful, as it used not extractive methods, but the traumatic method, by strong force and a single blow, which sometimes resulted in incomplete removal of teeth, leaving residual broken roots in about 10% of cases. Ouch! It's a rough rite of passage for sure, but Link would certainly know who he was dealing with right away if characters in Breath of the Wild were missing a few teeth. Instead, everyone in the game has the most dazzling smile, especially the Zora Prince Sidon, whose blindingly white teeth are kind of his trademark. But what's ironic is that if Sidon were a real Jomon prince or chieftain, he'd be missing a lot of those pearly whites, and he'd be proud. On second thought, maybe it's a good thing the people of Hyrule have proper dentistry. At any rate, we've now seen some of the cool ways that the Jomon culture is tied or could be tied to Breath of the Wild. And like I said before, when you know this, you really come to appreciate the game's aesthetic. So, whether you're playing the game for the first time or revisiting the world of Hyrule in order to get ready for the recently announced Breath of the Wild sequel, be sure to be on the lookout for all the relics and styles that are reminiscent of Japanese history. And that's it for today's episode, guys. Questions, comments, corrections? Be sure to hit me up at my email at meghanhistory, meghanhistory@gmail.com, or reach out to me on my Twitter account at Meghan, MEGHAN _IGN. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.